So my name is Saurabh. I'm the manager for international recruitment here at NorQuest College. So the picture that you're seeing on the background is, of course, our campus. So our campus is located in the downtown of Edmonton City. And so that's the campus you're seeing. I'll go through a little bit over the overview about the college, who we are, and what programs we offer. Just a quick overview. So NorQuest College is one of the publicly funded community college, and we have roughly around 19,000 learners who study with us. I think some of the unique things about NorQuest College is that a lot of our students, whether they are domestic, I would say mostly they're domestic, are students which are born outside of Canada. So you probably see here that 57% of our student body is born outside of Canada. So what that means is that a lot of immigrants within the city of Edmonton, so you probably don't know, but 20 to 25% of the population of the city of Edmonton is of immigrants. And we have a very diverse immigrant population. And majority of the immigrants usually choose NorQuest College because when the immigrants come to Canada, their education back home or is often not recognized in Canada. So they have to do upgrading. Some of them don't speak English, so they have to learn English. So a lot of those things happen. And we are the main, I would say, the institution where a lot of these immigrants come and do that. So because of that, we have more than 100 languages, 115 languages, which are spoken on campus. And then we have students from more than, I would say, 100 countries, which are represented on our campus. So in that way, we are very diverse and multicultural because you probably deal with many other institutions. I'm talking about the pyramid. And then a lot of the institutions mostly talk about their diversity on international side, but they don't have many diversity on their domestic student population side. So this is the diversity that we have student population side. So which basically what it helps is when a student is coming from India, then they don't feel, that they're in a different environment. It's a very multicultural environment. There are a lot of new immigrants, as international students are newcomers also. So their journey and their experiences are very shared experiences, and they can relate to each other, and it's very easy for students to adapt. Okay, so that's one thing I want to highlight about NorQuest College. So again, the college system in Canada is different from province to province. So what colleges offer in Ontario does not apply in Alberta. What colleges offer in Alberta does not apply in British Columbia. So I think that is something to be mindful of. So the education in Canada is provincial matter, is a provincial jurisdiction. So because of that, you must be asking me, well, do you have a graduate certificate? Do you have graduate diploma? Well, in Alberta, we don't have anything called graduate certificate. We don't have anything called graduate diploma. That is in Ontario. So the things that you are used to in Ontario or British Columbia does not apply in Alberta. So just want to highlight that. Again, at NorQuest College, we offer mainly 1-year certificate, 2-year diploma. In the certificate side, we do have 1 year, what we call in Alberta, entry-level certificate. We also call post-diploma, and we called post-baccalaureate. So these are the credentials which are in Alberta, which is different from Ontario and British Columbia. Okay, so that's a new learning for you to do if you're a student or if you are a counselor who is going to guide student. So that's one thing. Again, we have 3 main faculties. So our biggest faculty in our college is the Faculty of Health and Community Studies. So we have a lot of programs in health. We have a lot of programs in community studies. And then we also have our second biggest faculty is the Faculty of Skill and Foundation Learning. So we offer through that ESL programs, high school courses. There are some other programs that we offer through them. And then of course our other faculty, the third faculty, is the Faculty for Business, Environmental Science and Technology. So that's our third faculty. And that's where our programs are, mostly in these 3 faculties. So NorQuest College have 2 campuses. So we have one campus, which is in the downtown of Edmonton. And then we have a second campus, which is in the city of Wetaskiwin. So Wetaskiwin is 80 kilometers away from Edmonton, going towards Calgary. So it's between Edmonton and Calgary, and that's the city of Wetaskiwin. And we have our second campus there. That's a small city. Wetaskiwin, it's only probably, I would say, close to 14 to 16,000 people in that particular city. So as far as the demographic is concerned, 64% of our student population is female, and also 64% of our students who study with us come from Greater Edmonton area. So the Greater Edmonton area is a big area, and there are roughly 1.2 million people who live in the Greater Edmonton area. So Edmonton, just to give you an idea, is the 5th largest city in Canada. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about Edmonton later on. Just want to give you an idea where Alberta is and where Edmonton is. Probably a lot of you know, but just still want to show you on the map. So we are the province which is neighboring British Columbia on one side and Saskatchewan on the other side. Edmonton is the capital city of the province of Alberta. And there are two big cities in Alberta, Calgary and Edmonton, and they're pretty similar size cities. So yeah, I think the college system and university system, just want to again highlight, because college system and university system changes from province to province. So in Alberta, the colleges do not offer 4-year degrees, whereas in Ontario, some colleges do. In Alberta, colleges don't offer 4-year degree, and it's only offered by university, and also universities only offer master's degree. So we don't offer that. So if anybody's asking 4-year bachelor's degree, 2-year master's degree, well, they should go to university. But if they're asking for a 2-year diploma, if they're asking for a 1-year entry-level certificate, 1-year post-diploma, which is between a diploma and a bachelor's degree, and then of course a 1-year post-baccalaureate, which is after a 4-year degree, then yes, they can come to us. We do offer university pathways. So students, some of our diplomas transfer into the 3rd year of degrees in most of the universities here in Alberta. And also we have a university transfer program I'll talk about later on. So that is a little bit on that side. I think the one thing that has to focus, which probably is true for the whole of Canada, but is also a huge focus here at our college, is our co-op. So co-op is a big thing, which we call, in a technical term, we call it work integrated learning. So that is the technical word of that. Co-op practicum is usually, we call a loose term to define it, but the actual term in the industry sector, I would say education, is the work integrated learning. So that is the main component that we have in all our programs. So students not only just get education, but they also get the chance to get work experience to some extent. So that is valuable. Okay. So little bit things about NorQuest College. So why should a student choose us? So I know the pyramid represent many colleges. So what is so special about NorQuest College? Okay. So I think that's something everybody wants to know. So I think the first thing that a lot of students may have question in mind, is my program in demand? So I think there is few things NorQuest is known and emphasize. So NorQuest College right now has a huge emphasis on in-demand programs. So that is our huge focus. And we have also that as a commitment with our learners, that we are going to offer only in-demand programs. And we call it workforce and relevant programming. How we do it, I think there's a lot of things that come together. We do have a workforce council within our institution who work with the labor, the Ministry of Labor works with the industry leaders, and then they identify which are the sectors where there are jobs, and within those sectors which are the occupations, and then they of course partner with the industry leaders so that our curriculum is in line with what the employers are looking. And also we partner with the industry leaders so our students can get practical experience in the field of study. So I think that's how we mainly, that's the logistics of how these in-demand programs are built. Also, I think the other important thing is that most of our programs have what we call work integrated learning. So students will get some Canadian experience, while they get their education, because I think education is provided by every institution. I think the work component is something that a lot of our domestic students are looking. And I think, of course, it's advantageous for international students, because a lot of our domestic students are looking for some kind of training or work experience in their field of study. But whereas for international students, a double bonus, they definitely get some work experience in their field of study. But on top of that, they get a Canadian experience, because they don't have any Canadian experience when they come to Canada. So I think that's a double bonus for the international students. Also, as a college, I think usually college mostly in Canada have small class sizes. So we do have two. So the student get a lot of personal attention as compared to university, where university usually tend to have a bigger size classrooms. Also, we have a very good employability rate. And I think the main reason we have a very high employability rate, just to give you an idea, we were ranging between 92 to 95%. Again, I'm saying were ranging because this was previous to COVID. And I think after COVID has happened, of course, a lot of people have lost jobs and a lot of the change happening in the economy. But I would say that's where we were averaging, and we hope we'll average to that back once things are post-COVID and things are back to normal. But again, that's a big thing, that our employability rate is pretty high. And again, the main reason is, of course, the in-demand programs, and students get an opportunity to get some Canadian work experience. And also a lot of time the employers, who are employing students during the practicum or work integrated learning, students can get job. Of course, there's no guarantee, but they have a high chance of getting a job if a students take their practicum seriously. I think a lot of time when students go on a practicum, they don't take their practicum seriously. And I think that sometimes happens that they don't get it, and then don't get up ending jobs after that, or a prospect of that, because they're not taking it seriously. So anyways, coming to the other factors, I think we have a lot of services and supports available within the college. We have a strong, I would say, the academic support. We have tutorial services that are available for students, and that's something unique. So for example, if a student goes to a classroom, they could not understand their teacher, they can go to tutorial services, and the tutorial services can find a free tutor for the students. Of course, nothing comes for free. So of course, the college will pay to the tutor. But yes, the students don't have to pay anything. So I think that's a good service. And there are many other things that we do on the academic integrity side, and also on the academic adjustment side, because that's the biggest adjustment that students have to do. Because when they come from India, the education system in India is way different than in Canada, and they have to adjust pretty quickly to the Canadian education system. So I think that's something that we provide a lot of support so students can. I think in the future, we're also looking to launch mentorship programs for our business faculty. So the students can connect with the senior students when they come here, so they can guide them how to succeed in the program. So there's a lot of those services. We do have scholarships. So right now we have scholarship for current students. So students who are studying with us and who score 85% or more in their studies while they're studying with us, they can qualify to get $2,000 to $3,000 scholarships. And that's a pretty decent scholarship. Keeping in mind that our tuition fee is roughly $7,000 to $9,000 per semester. So that's pretty much around 15% of what they're going to pay on the semester basis. So that's the scholarship. We are looking to introduce entry-level scholarship as well. And I'll update later because we're still discussing about it. So we are planning to launch it for January 2021. So I'll send you information once we have more, but just want to mention it that we're going to offer some entry-level scholarships as well. I think what we're looking is to offer $1,000 for some selected programs. So I'll give you more information in the future about it. A little bit about Alberta. I think maybe you're already aware of it, but a lot of people overlook Alberta. And I think because, there are more, I would say, family connections in Ontario and British Columbia, but Alberta is one of the provinces which have the highest minimum wage in Canada. So the minimum wage in Alberta is $15 an hour. which is highest in Canada. So there's no province that has more than that. So of course, the students, when they come and work in any kind of part-time jobs, they usually get minimum wage, and they have the highest wage that they can get in Alberta. So that's a big advantage. The other advantage of Alberta is it has very less taxes. So there are two kinds of taxes in Canada. One is called GST, the other is called PST, and some places have HST, harmonizing sales tax, but it's a mixture of both. And then in Alberta, we don't have a PST, we don't have a provincial sale tax. And because of that, our taxes are 5% in Alberta, as compared to British Columbia, which I think ranges between 14 to 15%. So everything is cheaper if you're paying less taxes. So your cost of living goes down. So I think that's the bottom line for that. So the student have best of the both worlds. They're earning the highest wage, and they're paying the least amount of taxes. So of course, your residual income is of course more. And I think that is the net product of that. Also, we have a very attractive immigrant nominee program. So Alberta's immigrant nominee program usually doesn't get highlighted again that much, but I'll talk about it later on because I'm myself a certified immigration consultant. So I can talk about it because a lot of the recruiters cannot talk about it because they're not certified immigration consultant, but I am myself. So I'll talk about it later on and give you more clarity on that. The other thing I want to mention that Alberta is the third largest economy in Canada. What I mean to say, the third largest economy, what does it mean? So what did it mean is there are a lot of jobs. So it's a big economy. So there are a lot of jobs within Alberta, and I'll talk about the job sectors that we have here. And of course, I mentioned before that there are 6 cities. So there are 6 big cities in Canada, which have more than 1 million population. So 1 million is, again, if we think about it in Indian terms, it's 10 lakh people. So there are 6 cities which have more than 10 lakh population. I know 10 lakh is not a big population amount from Indian perspective, but from Canadian perspective, that's a lot of people. So there are 6 cities, and of course the biggest city is Toronto, then is Montreal, then is Vancouver, then is Calgary, and then is Edmonton. So Edmonton is the 5th largest city, as I mentioned before. So it's a big city because students have that question, am I going to a small city? Am I going to the big city? No, Edmonton is a big city. And there are a lot of jobs in Edmonton. There's a big Indian community. There is one area which is on the south side of Edmonton. So if you go there, it feels like you're in India. So I think there's a lot of community support available. So just want to mention that as well. And of course, Alberta is a very safe and friendly place. Like the whole of Canada, we are pretty friendly. So that's pretty common in Alberta as well. This one thing I want to mention and show you and share with you because a lot of students, when they come to any province, they're usually asking what are the industry sectors where there are jobs in that province. And I think we give huge emphasis here at our college because we try to relate our programs to the industry sector. So the biggest industry sector in Alberta, and I think that is true maybe for even Canada, is retail trade. So retail trade is the biggest industry sector. So what is retail trade? So any kind of shopping, any kind of retail store sector is the biggest sector for job in Alberta. Okay, and then of course, which is followed by the second biggest sector in Alberta is health and social assistance. So in academic term, the social assistance is community studies. So that's why we have a faculty called healthcare and community studies, because it relates to this particular sector. Then of course, construction is the third. Again, anything that you see in red here is a sector which is declining. And anything you see, I think I skipped. Anything that you see green here is a sector which is growing. So construction is a third sector, but is a sector which is declining. And also I think it's followed by the fourth sector, which is professional, scientific and technical services. Then it's followed by educational services. Then is followed by accommodation and food services, which in simple terms is hospitality. And then of course the next is forestry, fishing, mining, oil and gas. and then comes manufacturing, then comes transportation, and then is finance, insurance, and real estate. So these are the major sectors where the bulk of the jobs are within Alberta. So just want to highlight that so that you have a little bit idea. I think there's something I'll skip because this is we do have a program called NorQuest Bridging program, and this is for those students who don't meet our IELTS requirement, and they can get conditional admission and then they can apply. But I know from Indian perspective, students usually don't get visas for ESL programs, so I'll skip it because I don't think it's relevant. So I'll skip this too, and I'll jump to the programs directly. So I'll start with health studies. So we have these programs in health studies. So we have in certificate, we have healthcare aid, and then we have healthcare leadership, mental health recovery, addiction recovery practitioner. So just want to give you a very quick overview of some programs. So healthcare aid is a very, very in-demand program. And even because of this COVID situation right now, healthcare aid and licensed practice nurse, these are the two things which is the backbone of the, I would say, the health sector. Because for every patient in Canada, for every patient, there should be one healthcare aid. And of course, there's a licensed practice nurse, which is the boss of the healthcare aid. So these are the two professions which are very, very, very much in demand. So I'm saying a lot of varies because of this COVID situation, these programs are way in demand right now. The healthcare leadership program is mainly for people who want to, of course, work and supervisor or leaders in the healthcare facility. So for that program, it's because it's a post-diploma. So we want a student must have a bachelor's degree or diploma in health field, then only they can apply. Then we have mental health and addiction recovery. This is for students who want to work in rehab. So in Canada, we have rehabilitation centers. So they work with mental health and addiction recovery. So the name sounds, they're working those kind of people who have mental issues, who have addiction issues. Then if you're going to diplomas, we have licensed practice nurse. So you may not be knowing, but just want to highlight that NorQuest College has Canada's largest licensed practical nurse and healthcare aid program. So we are the largest in Canada for that. And we are one of the very few colleges which accept international student in licensed practice nurse. But having said that, I'll tell you the issue that Indian students usually face. I'll tell you later about it. Then again, we do have a therapeutic recreation as another diploma. And this is for those people who want to work in senior home and they are doing recreation therapy for seniors. Then of course, we have pharmacy technician. Again, this program is run by the Pharmacy Council of Canada, and the students have to get licensed to work as a pharmacy technician. And then we have interdisciplinary therapy assistant. And this is mixture of 4 therapies. So in Canada, we have 4 kind of therapies. One is physiotherapy. Then the second is occupational therapy. Then there is also the recreation therapy and speech therapy. So those are the 4 therapies. So they are all taught in this program. So all the programs that you see here, every program has a practicum. But again, in health studies, it's a mandatory practicum, which means students cannot graduate until they do a practicum. And we will find a practicum for the students. Students don't have to find a practicum themselves. We have a placement team who will go and look for practicum. But again, having said that, all the practicums are unpaid. They don't get paid for it, but they get the experience. And a lot of times, students, when we tell them, oh, it's not a paid experience. Oh, okay, well, then it's not to be taken seriously. No, it's need to be taken seriously because in health, there is such a demand. If you take your practicum seriously, in spite of it being unpaid, you have a very high chance of getting retained. So I think that is something to keep in mind. Moving forward to community studies. So community studies, we have programs, certificate programs. So a lot of our community studies certificate programs move to diploma. So they are like more like 1+1. So for example, if somebody does community support worker, which is a 1-year certificate, they can go into settlement studies diploma. If a student does early learning childcare certificate, they can go into 2nd year of early learning and childcare diploma. Educational assistant, they can go into disability studies. So those how it works. Again, community support worker is a frontline worker in social work field. Again, with this COVID situation, because there's a lot of social assistance happening in the community level, I think these programs, most of these programs are becoming very popular again because of this current situation. Because there is something within, I think pretty much, which is worldwide, is a new terminology which is called essential services. So these are under essential services. Health is under essential services. Community studies is under essential services. So the country cannot run without an essential services. So because of that, I think the demand has been going more because it's deemed as essential services. So community support worker is in one of those sectors. Early learning and childcare is being partly there, but again, it was not under essential services, but still there is a huge demand. If you go into the Alberta labor market impact, predictions, it's saying that for the next 20 years, there will be a lot of demand for early learning and childcare. So there's a lot of demands. And again, a lot of students get absorbed through our practicums as well in the early learning and childcare sector. Educational assistant, I think this is another field if a student is interested to work in a teaching. So usually in Alberta, in a school, there's a teacher, and then the teacher assistant is called educational assistant. Then we have social work diploma, we have disability studies, which is again working with people who have special needs. Child and youth care counselor, which is also very, very popular. And again, these counselors work mainly in school and even in municipalities to help child and youth. Then criminal justice is for those people who want to go into law and work in criminal justice field. Settlement studies is mainly for people who want to work in settlement agencies. So again, all these programs in community studies also have practicum. But again, they are mandatory practicum. The students cannot graduate without doing it. But again, they are unpaid practicum. Okay. But again, having said that, as I said before, unpaid does not mean it's not important. It's important because there's a high retention rate also in community studies after the practicum if students take it seriously. Now coming to business. So in business, we do have two certificate, accounting technician and administrative professional. So our accounting technician program also ladders into business. So like if student does accounting technician, 9 out of 10 of their courses can be transferred to business diploma if they want to do it. And again, accounting technician administrative professional also has a practicum in it. So we'll place accounting technician people in an accounting firm. And again, administrative professional also, to work in administrative professional roles in a company. And again, these both are unpaid practicum. Now I'll come to the two main programs which have paid internships. So our business diploma, again, it has 4 specialization. It has accounting, finance, management, and human resource, or a student can do a general as well. And also the good thing about business program is that after year 1 and year 2, student can apply for a paid internship. So we have a 4 months paid internship after 1 year and paid internship after second year for 4 months. So in total, it's 8 months. 4 months after first year, 4 months after second year. But again, it's not guaranteed. Students have to apply, and we will help. We have a dedicated department who will help students to apply. And if they are selected in an interview by a company, they get 4 months of paid internship, and they get $18 an hour salary while they're doing their practice. Okay. Same is true for environmental protection technology. So environmental protection technology also has a paid internship after their second year for 4 months. And same thing, it's not guaranteed. They have to apply. If they're selected, they will work as 4 months for the environmental protection technologist, and they will get $18 an hour salary. Okay. Again, environmental protection technology is very good for students who have bachelors in biotechnology, science, those kind of backgrounds. So those are some of the backgrounds which will be suitable for the environmental protection technology as well. So we have one last program to mention, which is a post-baccalaureate. So this is for those people who want to become an English teacher in Canada. So if you have someone who has done Bachelor's of Education, Master's of Education, like B.Ed or M.Ed, probably that's what is said in India, and or anyone who has been an IELTS teacher and they want to become an English teacher in Canada. This is the program for them. So this is called teaching English as a additional language. The students will also have to do a 50 hours of teaching experience in Canada, and we'll find that for them. They'll do it, and then afterward they'll get a license so that they can work as a teacher, English teacher in a high school, university, or a college. Okay, so that's a very good program for students with that kind of background. So these are some of the companies. I just want to show you quickly which are the leading employers within Alberta. I mean within the Edmonton region, sorry, not the whole of Alberta. So you'll see here there are a lot of local names. You'll not see many multinational companies, which is a good thing, which means that we are not dependent on a multinational company who has a head office in US, and then they can take away all the jobs in just one click and we have no role to play. So a lot of our employers are local in Edmonton. So they are vested in the community. So that's a good thing that we have a lot of employers which are local. So these are some of the services that I have mentioned. I'll not spend too much time because of the scarcity of time. Also, we have a lot of, I would say, services that we offer. We have pre-arrival support services, advising services. On the international office side, we provide free immigration advising. So those are a lot of the services that we offer here. So this is just an application process. I'll not go through it because I know Pyramid team has been already submitting. And if you're a student and you want to apply, of course, you can apply through them and they will give you a very good information on that. So I'll skip that. Some of the deadlines to keep in mind that for fall intake, our deadline is June 30th. Then for winter, it's October. And then for spring is in February. So I think we have 3 main intakes. Right now, I think what is happening on our side, I'll give you a quick update afterwards, is that, I'll probably go back on this page, is that because of COVID, we have made some changes on our side. So we are accepting Duolingo exams for students to get admission in our programs. And I think probably it's better I share the other presentation. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to open another presentation which have a little bit more information on the changes that we have done due to COVID. And I think that will capture that information. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to share that information with you. So I'll share some of the information starting from this page, and then we'll go to that because there are a few things I want to highlight so you get more understanding from the admission side. Because I think there are a lot of questions that people have, students have, and even counselors have from the admission side. So I think the bottom line for the admission is that if a student is applying for entry-level certificates or our diploma programs, we are looking at their high school marks. So we don't look, even if a student has done a bachelor's degree, and you'll probably be surprised in our diploma programs, 70 to 80% of the students pretty much have bachelor's degree and they're applying. And we only have 10 to 20% students who have high school. So a lot of students we have already bachelor's degree, even if they're going for a diploma, which is not a post-diploma, but it's a regular diploma. For, of course, our post-diploma, we will look at only diploma or bachelor's degree. We will not look at the high school marks of the student. And we are not looking for a certain percentage because that question comes a lot. What percentage you need in your diploma or bachelor's degree? No, we are not looking for any particular percentage. We are only looking for pass. If they have passed, they have their certificate, that's good for us. Okay, and of course, for our business programs, our IELTS requirement is 6 with no band less than 5.5. So if a student has 1 band 5.5, 2 bands 5.5, it does not matter. So we will accept them even if they have 2 bands 5.5, 3 bands 5.5, as long as they have overall 6, we will accept them. Okay. I think many of the programs in health studies and community studies, our IELTS requirement is 6.5 with no band less than 6. In the diploma side, we have only one program, practical nursing, which needs a pretty high score. And again, this is not said by us. This is said by the Nursing Council of Alberta. So they need listening 7.5, speaking 7, reading 6.5, and writing 7. That's a pretty high IELTS, I know. So a lot of people are saying, wow, that's a lot of IELTS. Yes, it's a pretty high IELTS, but that is required for practical nursing. And I think that was one of the things I was going to highlight, that a lot of Indian students sometimes struggle in getting that. But if you have somebody who has that IELTS, well, please encourage them to apply. So right now, due to COVID, we are accepting Duolingo. So if anybody has a Duolingo score of 105, we will accept it equivalent to IELTS 6 with no band less than 5.5. If anybody has a Duolingo score of 115, we'll accept it equivalent to 6.5 with no band less than 6. Okay. On the post-diploma and post-baccalaureate, we require 6.5 with no band less than 6, which is again in Duolingo is 115. And for healthcare leadership program, we have a same IELTS as practical nursing. So we need a pretty high IELTS score for healthcare leadership, same as practical nursing. So the good thing about us is our processing time. So if you send a completed application, usually you have to submit our application through Apply Alberta online system. Then you send us your documents of the students, via email to us in one PDF file, everything in it. And if you have that, then in 1 week, you should have your offer letter. So it's pretty quick. And again, it's first come, first serve. I think it varies between 1 to 2 weeks. So it may take anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks to get an offer letter. So once the student gets an offer letter, then they have to pay $1,000 deposit to confirm their seat. And also they have to send an official document. So the official document could be a student can get another copy of their transcript from their school. If they cannot get it, they can photocopy their transcript, go to the principal and ask them to stamp it, sign it, and then they can mail it to us. If a student is from CBSE board or other boards, we can verify that online. And in that case, student has to share their admit card and we can verify it online. So I think that's another thing. Something on the admission criteria. So for a certificate and diploma, we do a course-based admission. So a lot of students ask me that question, like I have overall 65% in my grade 12. We don't look at overall percentage. We look at individual marks. So we want to know how much you have in English, how much you have in biology, how much you have in maths, how much you have in chemistry. So we call it course-based admission. And the range is between 50 to 75% marks. Again, this is Alberta 50 to 75%. So an Alberta 50% marks is equivalent to Indian 45%. And a 75% marks in Alberta is equivalent to between 68 to 70%. Okay, just to give you a very rough idea. For some programs, we only need, like for example, in business, we need only English and maths. But in business, I know in India, there's commerce students. Yes, we do accept commerce students. If they have done 2 business courses and a maths in grade 10. And I know in grade 10, most of the people do maths. So if they have done maths in their grade 10 and they have done 2 business courses in grade 12, like accountancy, business studies, those kind of courses, yes, we will accept them. Also, I think some things to keep in mind, which is again an additional, I would say, hurdle for Indian students for practical nursing and pharmacy technician. These two, so for practical nursing, we need English, biology, and maths. So that becomes an issue because I know in India there's a concept of medical and non-medical, which I don't like per se, but yeah, that's usually how, and it limits the students to go into health fields. So a lot of the health fields in Canada, and mainly the practical nursing and pharmacy technician, they want student must have done biology and maths. So now what is the solution? So if a student want to apply for that program, so there are 2 solutions. So solution number 1, a student can write an maths if they have, for example, if they're coming from medical background, they don't have maths. So they can do two things. One is they can say, okay, I'm going to write an maths exam. So for practical nursing, they can write a maths exam. They have to challenge that. They have to pass it. If they pass it, yes, they get into practical nursing. Okay. If they cannot pass it, then what they can do the maths course of Alberta sitting in India. And because we do offer our maths course online, so they can do it online. They can pass that maths course and then apply for practical nursing program. So if they can wait. Okay. Again, having said that, for pharmacy technician, the same thing. They can challenge the exam for maths. We call it pharmacy arithmetic test. So they can challenge that exam. And we have many students who have B pharmacy and M pharmacy, and people ask, well, this student has done bachelor's in pharmacy. Will you accept them without maths? The answer is no, because it's not in our control. It's the pharmacy council who controls the requirement, and they want everyone to either have maths or to challenge the exam of pharmacy arithmetic test and pass it and then get into it. So yes, a student can challenge it, and then I've seen a lot of bachelor's in pharmacy student passing it, and some of course don't pass it also, but yeah, a lot of them I've seen have passed it. So that's the one thing just to keep in mind. The other thing is we do give conditional admission. So if you have a student who is right now have not given they don't have their grade 12 marks, which means that they have not completed their grade 12 exams, they don't have their grade 12 transcript, they can apply for conditional admission, but they must have an IELTS or a Duolingo score. So if you're a student who say, I am going to give my CBSE or whatever school board exam in June or July, when I think it's going to be, they can apply for admission and even get an admission with a Duolingo or IELTS, but they need to have a Duolingo and IELTS. Okay, so they cannot say, well, I'm going to write my Duolingo and I'm also going to write my grade 12. Well, those are two missing requirements, so that's not possible. So they can apply for conditional admission based on that, if they have a Duolingo or IELTS. The other thing to keep in mind is the tuition fee, because a lot of people must be thinking, well, what is the tuition fee? Come to that. Okay, so yes, so we'll come to that. So the tuition fee is between 14,000 to 20,000 per year. This includes the tuition fee. This includes the health and dental insurance. That includes many other things, the non-instructional fee, student association fee. So there are a lot of things in the fees. Sometimes colleges only tell tuition fee, and there are many other things, which amounts to usually $3,000 on top of the tuition fee. So if you take tuition fee only, it may be around 11,000 to some range, 17,000. But I want to tell you the whole inclusive price, which I think is the right, because people want to have some estimate. So the only thing which is not included in this is books. So books are extra, and the accommodation, which is extra as well. So just to give you an idea, accommodation in Edmonton is very affordable. So we are not expensive as Toronto or Vancouver. So to get in Edmonton a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment, a student can easily get between $750 to $850 range, which is unthinkable, in Vancouver, of course, and then not even in Toronto. So I think that is another advantage, that Edmonton is very affordable to live. Okay, and then of course the application fee is $150, and the tuition deposit to confirm the seat is $1,000. Okay, and just to keep in mind about the tuition deposit, that when a student pays their tuition deposit, the 50% of the tuition deposit is non-refundable. So $500 out of this $1,000 is non-refundable. And then again, the refund process works when student withdraw. So if a student withdraws more than 30 days before the start of the intake, they can get $500 back. If they withdraw less than 30 days left in the program, then the whole $1,000 is non-refundable. But anything more than $1,000, how much they pay, that can be refunded back, provided students withdraw before the start of the program. Okay, so that's just to highlight on the refund policy. So right now we are accepting application both for September 2020 and January 2021 applications. So those are both open, so you can apply for both. Again, the deadlines are here. I'll skip it. Yes, so the scholarship. So some things about scholarship, I mentioned before that we are offering any between $2,000 to $3,000 scholarship. So these are just a breakdown here. Some of the things we have made changes to COVID. So of course, I think a lot of people are asking, is there going to be any change in the offer, letter processing? No, there's no disruption in services in offer letters. May intake, which is right now running, is being offered online. The September intake, it's going to be what we are calling it in Canada, blended. So maybe some institution may have not communicated with you how this September term looks like, but pretty much I would say I'll give you an insight. Probably more than 90% of Canada institutions are thinking to offer September in a blended. So what is blended? Which means majority of the things are done online, and there will be few things that they can do face-to-face. And then in January, most likely will come to face-to-face. I think hopefully things may change back by then, as we are predicting, and then we are back to normal in that. I know things are opening in India. I think here things are already open. But again, we are looking, and Alberta and many other provinces are looking for opening of the economy. So our economy is opening, and I think from the 25th of May, things are going to open slowly. So that is happening anyways. Also, I think the other things we made change to the COVID. If a student says, I cannot make my tuition deposit of $1,000, they can request for extension to pay that. If they cannot send us their official documents, they can also ask for extension for that. So those things are happening. Last thing I want to mention about immigration. So I think this thing I'm going to skip, because everybody knows students can work off campus 20 hours a week while they're going to classes. There's no new information. They can work full-time while during their break. And then of course they can work on campus. And we do have I would say Career and Employment Services Center, which is common to all colleges. I'll focus here. So as we're a public college, so all our programs, of course, are eligible for postgrad work permit. I'm going to focus on these two things. So Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program. I think that is something a lot of people ask. What is Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program? And not many people are aware of that. So we have two main categories under that. One is called Alberta Opportunity Stream, and the second one is called Alberta Express Entry. So the Alberta Opportunity Stream is pretty straightforward. So if a student has studied and done a 2-year diploma, 1-year post-diploma, 1-year post-baccalaureate, if they have done any of those programs with us, and they work for 6 months in Alberta in that same field of study, they are eligible to apply for immigration. So it's pretty simple. 2 years diploma, 6 months work, 1-year post-diploma or 1-year post-baccalaureate and 6 months work, and then you can apply for immigration. Of course, there are other criteria. They have to write an IELTS. Right now, the IELTS required is pretty low. It's only 5 IELTS, which is pretty low. And again, student usually need 6 to get into the program, so they should easily get it. And there are some other things, but they're not a big concern. And I think the good thing about some of our programs, which I mentioned, like business, which have a 10 months paid internship. So any program which have a paid internship, that internship months are counted in 6 months. So for example, a business student, if they do 8 months internship, paid internship, they pretty much have done already their 6 months of experience within the program. So once they graduate from a program, they are ready to apply for immigration. So that's a pretty fantastic way of doing that. I think in Express Entry, so Alberta does not have, the way Saskatchewan and Nova Scotia has. So a student will apply to Express Entry, General Express Entry. And then there is no way a student can apply for Alberta Express Entry. So they cannot, what we call is, notification of interest. So they cannot apply for that. So the Alberta province picks students from Express Entry. And there are certain criteria that, of course, they have studied in Canada. And of course, they prefer, if a student has studied in Alberta, they will prioritize that. And also they will prioritize if a student has a 1-year experience in Alberta. And then if they have 300 points or more and they should have a job offer also. At the time they are preferred that way, they have a very high chance of getting picked in Alberta Express Entry. I think people who are outside Canada, they have a low chance in picked in Alberta Express Entry because it's picked by Alberta and not anyone can apply. So I think both this system helps, because as you know, in Express Entry right now the cutoff is 470, 475, so it's pretty high. So students also have a chance to that as well. So that's a pretty long presentation, so thank you. Sorry for that long presentation. I just wanted to cover a lot of information so you have a pretty good understanding of the programs of the province and the immigration program, the changes we have done. I'll open the floor for the questions. I know I've taken pretty much long time in presenting. Yeah, let me know if that information was useful to you, and I'm open for questions if anybody has.
Yeah, thank you so much, Saurabh-ji. It was a quite wonderful and informative session. So we do have some students in this session, so I should request them, they can ask the questions directly from you. The first one is Amanjot Kaur. Amanjot, you can unmute your mic and please ask your query.
Hello sir.
Hello, yeah, hi Amanjot, yeah, I can hear you.
एक्चुअली मैंने नॉर्क्वेस्ट कॉलेज में अपनी फाइल भेजी हुई है, मैंने अपने ट्रांसक्रिप्ट्स भेज दिए हैं और उन्होंने ना मुझसे एक सोशल वर्कर रेफरेंस फॉर्म मांगा था, तो मैंने उनको ना
सॉरी कैन यू कम अगेन,
मतलब उसके रिलेटेड नहीं लगा जो वर्क रेफरेंस फॉर्म है, तो अभी वो मुझसे एक और वर्क रेफरेंस फॉर्म मांग रहा है, तो मैं उसमें क्या ऐसा लिख के भेजूं कि वो एक्सेप्ट कर ले.
Okay, so I think I can talk in Hindi as well. So what do you prefer, Hindi or English? So I think for the social work program, so if I understand you correctly, you applied for social work program, right? Can you please confirm you applied for social work program for September 2020 and you submitted your social work experience certificate, and you're saying that they didn't accept the one that you sent, and now you're asking like what is the criteria on that experience? Am I getting your question correctly or no? Am I understanding it correctly?
एक्चुअली सर मैंने नॉर्क्वेस्ट कॉलेज में सोशल वर्क के लिए अप्लाई किया था, तो मैंने उनको ट्रांसक्रिप्ट्स और अपने सर्टिफिकेट्स भेज दिए थे. उसके बाद उन्होंने मुझे एक सोशल वर्कर रेफरेंस फॉर्म फिल करने के लिए दिया था, तो मैंने उनको अपना जो ब्लड डोनेशन कैंप्स है उसके रिलेटेड एज अ वॉलंटियर वर्क फिल करके भेजा था, तो उन्होंने मुझसे कहा कि वो उनको उसके रिलेटेड नहीं लगता, सोशल वर्क रेफरेंस फॉर्म के रिलेटेड नहीं लगता, तो उन्हें अब कुछ और चाहिए फिल करने के लिए.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, so I think I was correct. So again, I would say I'll answer you in Hindi because you're asking in Hindi. That would be rude for me not to talk in Hindi. So हाँ जी, तो आपने जो सोशल वर्क के लिए अप्लाई किया है, so yes, for that again my English comes back again. So उसके लिए ऐसा है कि सोशल वर्क जो है उसका जो वर्क एक्सपीरियंस होता है सोशल वर्क के लिए, उसके लिए it has to be relevant. So उसमें दो क्राइटेरिया हैं. नंबर 1 क्राइटेरिया ये है कि जो सोशल वर्क एक्सपीरियंस जो लेटर है वो आपके एम्प्लॉयर ने भेजना है. तो आपके एम्प्लॉयर को डायरेक्टली कॉलेज को सेंड करना है, स्टूडेंट नहीं सेंड कर सकता है. तो आई थिंक दैट इज वन रीजन अगर वो नहीं एक्सेप्ट करेंगे. नंबर 2 जो होता है वो ये होता है कि जो सोशल वर्क एक्सपीरियंस है वो उसकी जो क्राइटेरिया है दैट इज आई वुड से जज्ड बाय द प्रोग्राम. सो ये जो आपकी लेटर है वो सोशल वर्क डिपार्टमेंट के पास जाती है और वो चेक करते हैं, और आपको यू आर प्रॉब्ली ट्राइंग टू गेट सम डायरेक्शन व्हाट काइंड ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस विल वर्क. सो आई थिंक द मेन जो एक्सपीरियंस जो दे आर लुकिंग फॉर इज एज दैट योर वर्क, क्योंकि सोशल वर्क में आप करते क्या हो. सो सोशल वर्क में आप क्या करते हो, दैट यू आर वर्किंग विद टेकिंग केयर ऑफ एल्डरली पीपल, हेल्पिंग विद वनरेबल पॉपुलेशंस. वनरेबल पॉपुलेशन मीन्स people like women in abused relationship who come to social work center, orphan children. If you have done something similar, आपने कुछ something ऐसा किया है experience, and I think a lot of people when they apply for the experience they are mostly looking for organizations which could be ground level organization. They are not looking for fancy names. It has to be UNICEF, it has to be UNESCO, it has to be Red Cross, big names. It could be even, the local, I would say, NGOs and social organizations who are doing those work. But I think that the key criteria is that the letter come from an employer, and the second thing is it addresses any one of those things, that you have worked with the vulnerable population or you have worked with the senior population. That is where what you will be actually doing in that role. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
अमनजोत, कौन सी ब्रांच है आपकी?
सर लुधियाना।
लुधियाना ब्रांच। और आपके काउंसलर का नेम?
सलोनी मैम।
Thank you. So next we have is Anju Goswami.
Hello.
Hello, hi Anju. Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, I do not have my admit card of 12th standard, so what can I do?
Okay, so if you don't have your admit card, do you already have an offer letter?
No, sir, I want to apply for a NorQuest College, but I do not have my admit card.
Okay, so I think there are two things. So you can apply without an admit card and you can get an offer letter. But in order to complete your applications, you will need to send either an admit card or a scanned, the verified document. So there are two ways to complete your official transcript requirement. One is you send your admit card and you mention you don't have it. So of course we'll rule out that. So I think the second option is that you can photocopy your transcript. You probably have your own grade 12 transcript. And then you go to your principal. I know right now probably it's locked down, but once things open up, then you can go to your principal and ask them to stamp it and sign your transcript and put it in an envelope, and then you can send it to us. So in the meantime, you can apply with your scanned documents. And once you get an offer letter, we usually give 2 months to submit the official documents. But if the lockdown does not allow you to get those official transcript from your principal, you can definitely apply for extension, or you can ask Pyramid, they can do it on your behalf. So they can also ask, okay, can we give an extension this student because there's lockdown, she cannot get access to the principal or go to the school. So you can, the short answer is you can apply without your admit card, as long as you have your transcript and your IELTS or Duolingo score.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Okay, you're welcome.
Anju, किस ब्रांच से हैं आप?
Sir, Patiala.
Patiala branch. And your counselor name?
Amandeep ma'am.
Sorry?
Amandeep ma'am.
Amandeep.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So next we have is Mani Sharma.
Hello.
Hello, hi. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Sir, actually, I wanted to ask that I'm right now doing my graduation, so it's my last semester. So because of all this lockdown, I'm unable to appear for my last exams, and I wanted to apply for PG course in business. So for the same, I have done in my 10th, I have maths, and for plus 2, I have done commerce. So I had business and all that subjects. So can I apply for business course?
Yes, so we do have business course. I'll clarify, it's not a PG program. It's a diploma program. But as I mentioned before, when you come into the class, probably majority of the students have bachelor's degree or coming to our business program. So yes, with your high school grade 10 maths and then 2 courses in business, yes, you can apply. I think what we will look at is the marks in each and every course. And we are looking for 50%, which again translate to Indian 45%. So we need 45% in English, 45% in your grade 10 maths, and then 45% in those 2 business courses. And then we need an IELTS score of 6 with no band less than 5.5 or a Duolingo score of 105. So yes, you can apply. So we offer business program in September and January as well. So you can definitely apply for January if you want to right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Mani, with which branch of Pyramid are you connected?
Ludhiana, sir.
Ludhiana branch. And your counselor name?
Saloni, ma'am.
Right. So next we have is Yashika Garg.
Sir,
Yeah, hello Yashika. Yeah, I can hear you.
no, I don't have any question. Everything is clear to me.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we have any more queries from the students or our team members? Do you have any queries? So you can please unmute and ask. Yashika, can you please tell me with which branch of pyramid are you connected and your counselor name?
So my branch is Patiala and my counselor name is Aman.
Team, do you have any queries? I think your wonderful presentation has made all the answers in advance.
That's
It was
good,
a quite wonderful and informative session, as well as your presentation was literally very wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ranjit.
I also request you if you can please send that presentation on to my email.
Sure. Yeah. I will send to Amandeep. Yeah, I'll send it to him. Yeah, so he can share with the whole team. I think there's just one thing I want to mention, which I forgot to mention, and sometimes students usually ask, is the gaps. Do you accept student with gaps? And I think we have no criteria of gaps. So even if a student has as many gaps they have from the admission standpoint, we don't have any negative impact on the applicant.
Pyramid, visa for a better life.